My sister and I unlocked a choice system. The system asked, which would you choose, 1 billion or your biological mother? My sister chose the 1 billion without hesitation, and she married into the wealthy G family, receiving a 1 billion dowry. Meanwhile, I lived an ordinary life with my remarried mother, who would have thought that less than 3 years after my sister married into the G family, they went bankrupt. Her husband fled the country with all the money, leaving her alone to take the blame and go to prison. After she was released from prison, the first thing she did was come to kill me. When I opened my eyes again, we were both back on the day we had to make a choice. This time, she chose our birth mother first. I laughed. Finally someone is going to brave that den of wolves for me. I choose my mom, my twin sister, Xingqing, said these words with an expression of undisguised pride on her face. Exactly the same as the look she had after making her choice in her previous life. Last time, she chose the 10 billion, only to end up in such a miserable state. It seems this time she is full of confidence in her choice. I had no choice but to accept the Ji family's 1 billion yuan dowry and marry the son of the country's richest man, Ji Tingxian. On the day of our wedding, the scene was nothing short of sensational. The top figures from every field across the nation attended our ceremony. Except for the groom, in her past life, Xingqing's marriage to him had been exactly like this. It's rather laughable to say, but Ji Tingxian is quite childish. He refused to attend the wedding just to prove that his devotion to his white moonlight remained unchanged. I know in my heart that whether it was marrying my sister in the previous life or marrying me this time, it was all because his family was pressuring him to get married, and we look extremely similar to his white moonlight. In his words, barely acceptable, because the groom was absent, the wedding scene became extremely awkward. I stood alone next to the officiant, glancing at Xingqing standing in the crowd, her face full of mockery. Last time she got married, she encountered this situation. She was anxious and angry, crying loudly at the scene, making the already awkward situation even more embarrassing. This time, she must be determined to come and watch the show. My younger sister has always been like this since we were kids. She can't stand seeing me do better than her. When we were young, she was very playful, while I studied hard, got good grades, and was always praised by the school. She couldn't stand it, so she teamed up with the school bullies to bully me. Thanks to her being like this all along, it has actually tempered me to remain unfazed by both praise and criticism, without any resentment. I went through all the procedures arranged by the host with a smile on my face. When I went down to toast, several wealthy wives praised me profusely, saying I carried myself with grace and composure, neither arrogant nor submissive, and could handle such a situation with ease. They all thought I had suffered a great injustice and could only hold it in to keep up appearances, but what they didn't know was that I genuinely didn't care. It's just a wedding. What does it matter if the groom shows up or not, as long as the 1 billion arrives? That's all that matters. After all, I didn't marry for that foolish man, too. On the wedding night, as soon as we returned home, my mother-in-law flew into a rage at Ji Tingxian, calling him a useless thing who didn't know how to consider the bigger picture and nearly caused the Ji family to lose face. Do you have any idea that if it weren't for Henin holding up the scene today, our family would have become the laughingstock of everyone? Faced with his biological mother's accusations, Ji Tingxian looked full of resentment. His mother-in-law was exasperated. I don't know what you have to be dissatisfied with, being able to marry a girl like Henin. Do you really think Henin married above her station by marrying you? If you ask me, it's our family that married above our station. Do you even know that Henin is actually enough? Stop talking? Ji Tingxian interrupted the conversation. I don't care who she is. As he spoke, he got up from the sofa, walked over to me in a few steps, and stared straight at me, his eyes devoid of any warmth. You're just a substitute, and a substitute should know their place. Remember, I will never touch you, and don't even think about trying to win me over. Oh my God, this foolishness is making me feel so uncomfortable. If it weren't for my mother-in-law being present, I really wish he would stay away from me. I have a strong aversion to foolishness. I forced out a fake smile and said, that would be best. 3. Xingqing was even more impatient than I had thought. I had been married for less than a month, and she was already eager to come and show off to me, to make sure I wouldn't refuse her. She even came up with an excellent excuse and had my mother talk to me about it. Your sister has found a really good boyfriend, and I'm worried she might be deceived. Could you help me take a look and see what kind of man he is? We arranged to meet at a coffee shop, a location chosen by Xingqing. We had barely exchanged a few words when she began boasting that this was her favorite cafe. As she spoke, she naturally linked arms with Lin Jicheng, smiling sweetly. Ah, Cheng spoils me so much, knowing I love this place. He immediately signed up for an annual membership here, I thought to myself. With Xingqing's monthly salary of just 2,800 yuan. There was no way she could afford the expenses of such a high-end coffee shop, so it turns out she's flaunting her lifestyle on someone else's dime. I remained composed and smiled politely. Well, we must thank Mr. Lin for his generous support of our business. That's right, this cafe is my business. After all, with 1 billion in assets, it would be a waste to just let it sit in the bank earning interest. It's only natural for me to invest some of it. Xingqiang was originally holding her coffee, trying to look cultured, but upon hearing this, she immediately set her coffee cup down on the table. Even if you have money, don't invest recklessly, be careful not to go bankrupt. Perhaps sensing Lin Jiqiang's puzzled look, she picked up her cup again, took a sip, and slowly said, I've come to realize that money isn't important at all. What truly matters is whether the people around you are sincere. Once she started on this topic, she couldn't stop, going on and on about how wonderful Lin Jiqiang is, how accomplished he is at such a young age and how he caters to her every whim. As I looked at Xingqiang, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. What has clouded my sister's judgment? Even after being reborn, she still hasn't come to her senses. Money isn't as important as a man's sincerity. What kind of nonsense is she even saying? Besides, what kind of person Lin Jiqiang really is, how could I not know? For, in my past life, I also had a relationship with Lin Jiqiang. We met at a gathering at Wu Dexing's house. At that time, he was Wu Dexing's favorite student, and my mother was in the process of discussing marriage with Wu Dexing. Lin Jiqiang was handsome and talented, already a top expert in the industry at the age of 30. Moreover, he treated me extremely well, with someone like him pursuing me so intensely. I really had no reason to refuse, but my mother, after hearing Wu Dexing's advice, absolutely refused to agree to this marriage. Lin Jiqiang actually suggested to me that we'd get on the bus first and buy the ticket later, and I firmly refused. Who would have thought that my refusal would reveal his true colors? He started spreading malicious rumors about me everywhere, which caused me great distress. It took me a long time to finally put the matter to rest. Later, I found out that he was in such a hurry to marry me because his so-called expert status in the industry was completely fabricated. In reality, he had long been unable to hold on to his job at the company and was hoping to use Wu Dexing's status as a university professor to secure a position at the university. Could a man like that have any sincerity? Even if he did, it would be nothing more than trash. However, his dirty deeds are nothing compared to Wu Dexing's filthy thoughts. While Lin Jiqiang was in the restroom, I decided to give Xingqiang a warning. After all, she is my own sister, and I didn't want to see her fall into the clutches of that scoundrel. Don't waste your time on that Lin guy. Wu Dexing and Mom won't agree to it, I said, taking a sip of coffee before adding, to be precise, they won't agree to you being with anyone. Stop talking nonsense. You're just jealous, aren't you? Your husband won't touch you, so you can't stand seeing me and Ah-Ching being affectionate. Besides, Uncle Wu has always been very good to me. The reason you didn't get along with him before is because your personality isn't likable, I sneered. Ha, it seems you think you're very popular with Wu Dexing. In that case, I have nothing more to say. Good advice cannot persuade those destined to die. Compassion cannot save those who have given up on themselves. 5. I've been very busy lately, busy making money grow. Besides that coffee shop, I actually own several other properties. With money in hand, I can invest freely, finally fulfilling my old dream of being in business. I used to dream of saving enough money to open my own store, and over the years, I tried almost every job imaginable. I gained a thorough understanding of many products, from production to sales and after-sales service. But for a lowly worker trying to save up capital for a business, it's never easy. I never managed to achieve that dream in my lifetime, but looking back now, it was precisely these valuable experiences gained from grassroots work that allowed me to understand the market, the customers, and most importantly, the employees better than other investors. After nearly half a year, not only did my 1 billion not decrease, but I even made a considerable profit. However, I had no intention of telling anyone. One day, as I lay in bed, gleefully looking at my bank account balance, Ji Tingxian suddenly barged into the bedroom, glaring at me with a displeased expression. Woman, don't think that pretending not to be interested in me will get my attention. I looked up and gave him a look that said, are you an idiot? What a fucking moron, I said casually. If you have nothing to do, go find something to do. Don't keep hovering around me. I'm busy counting money and don't have time for you. Ji Tingxian, for some unknown reason, flew into a rage and started scolding me. Money, 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 you're just like other women, all you know is how to spend money. I felt disdain in my heart. I probably understood the consequences of only knowing how to spend money much better than he did. After all, there was the cautionary tale of Xingqiang. In the past, she was reckless and mindless in her extravagance, squandering a dowry of 1 billion yuan in just over 2 years. It wasn't until the moment the money was gone that she remembered the importance of maintaining a marital relationship, but it was too late. By then, Ji Tingxian was already completely captivated by his white moonlight. I was different from her. I never even considered trying to maintain this non-existent marital relationship. Why waste time on something so meaningless? Isn't it better to focus on making money? 6. A month later, my mother-in-law and I boarded a flight to Country F. She was there for vacation, while I, on one hand, was conducting market research for idols, and on the other hand, simply couldn't stand Ji Tingxian anymore. He had been appearing in front of me more and more frequently lately, always acting like a domineering CEO. Woman, no matter how much you pretend to be cold, it's useless. I won't give you a second glance. I didn't know how to express my disdain for him. I genuinely looked down on men who had nothing to do all day, with a CEO like him. Could the company really stay afloat? On this matter, Ji Tingxian quickly demonstrated the answer through his actions. No, he completely lacks the most basic decision-making ability that a leader should possess. During the more than half a month in Country F, my mother-in-law received phone calls about company affairs every day, most of which were from Ji Tingxian himself. He is a man almost 30 years old, yet like a child. He has to ask his mother for her opinion on everything. He can't make a single decision, let alone handle the ups and downs of the business world. My mother-in-law had a terrible headache and had no choice but to book an early flight back home. I came on this vacation to see if Tingxian could manage the company affairs independently without me. It seems I really overestimated him, but you, on the other hand, are much more mature than him. Watching you do research these past few days reminded me of when I was young. Helping his father manage the business, I still stand by what I said back then. For the Ji family to marry a girl like you, it truly is reaching beyond our station. Looking at this earnest, kind-faced elder before me, I found it hard to connect her with the wicked mother-in-law Zheng Qiang had described, but in that moment, I understood. My mother-in-law wasn't targeting anyone in particular. She simply despised incompetence. She held such disdain even for her own incompetent son, let alone Zheng Qiang, her good-for-nothing daughter-in-law. Coincidentally, we share a common language when it comes to disliking useless people. 7. The first thing I did upon returning to my home country was to establish an entertainment company and recruit trainees on a large scale. I, Zheng Qiang, must get a piece of the entertainment industry pie, and I intend to eat it to my heart's content. When my mother-in-law found out, she was highly supportive of my career, invested a significant amount of funds, and used her connections to secure numerous opportunities for my trainees to gain exposure. At first, I was a bit resistant, not wanting to owe her such a big favor. However, she said something that eased my concerns. Don't think I'm spoiling you. I'm speaking strictly from a business perspective. I can't put all my eggs in one basket. Especially when the Ji family's business looks like a shaky basket. With her help, my trainees quickly gained some recognition. Coincidentally, a program called Form a Group Trainees was in the works, and I signed them up, and I, one of the show's sponsors, sat on the judges' panel as the group formation manager. Trainees from various companies took the stage one by one to showcase their talents, but deep down, everyone knew these performances were merely a backdrop, meant to highlight the person about to take the stage. Hello everyone, my name is Lin Qingyan. Lin Qingyan, widely regarded as the top contender for the championship, the white moonlight that Ji Tingxian has been longing for. 8. It must be said that Lin Qingyan's face, which cost a fortune, is truly captivating and never gets old. No wonder that fool Ji Tingxian is so infatuated with him, as if he's lost his soul. But as beautiful as she is, her talent performance is just as terrible. A rap with no sense of rhythm made me feel nauseous. Your image is excellent, but your professional skills still need improvement. I thought I had been quite tactful in my words, but I never expected that Lin Qingyan's team would be just as hypocritical as she is, relentlessly marketing her as a victim. Lin Qingyan also deliberately or inadvertently revealed her past relationship with Ji Tingxian, guiding public opinion to portray me as a malicious woman who stole someone else's love and married into a wealthy family by throwing myself at him. Just one episode into the show, the attention on her and me has already overshadowed all the other trainees, which is exactly what her team wanted. Now, what the gossip-loving public is most concerned about is Ji Tingxian's own stance. In fact, everyone in the industry knows that the president of a listed company cannot personally respond to such gossip news. However, they overestimated Ji Tingxian's intelligence. I received his call. As long as you admit that your coldness toward me was just an act, I'll reluctantly help you out this time. Damn idiot. I shouted the words I had been holding back for so long and hung up the phone directly. So half an hour later, I saw the headline news. The president of the G group publicly sided with Lin Qingyan and revealed their love token. 9. You idiot, have you been kicked in the head by a donkey? I drove straight to Ji Tingxian and slapped him hard across the face, angrily shouting. He covered his reddened cheek, staring at me in shock. The last person to hit me was my mother. Woman, you're playing with fire. If you continue to mix personal and professional matters like this and keep spilling everything, you're truly playing with fire and burning yourself. Do you think Lin Qingyan is any good? He curled his lips into a smile. Woman, you really are jealous of Yin Yin. Do you even deserve to be? I'm tired. Let it all be destroyed. I really can't save this anymore. I had thought I could give him a warning to stay away from Lin Qingyan, so that my mother-in-law's efforts wouldn't go to waste, but now it seems unnecessary. With a leader like this, if the Ji family business doesn't go bankrupt, it would truly be unjustifiable. 10. The rival of the Ji family, the Guiguan group, did not let go of this perfect opportunity, taking advantage of the gossip about Ji Tingxian and Lin Qingyan. They heavily publicized Ji Tingxuan's chaotic private life and even dug out that the token of love was actually a limited edition from a brand that insulted the country. In an instant, Ji Tingxuan's reputation plummeted, and along with it, the stock price of the Ji family's enterprise also took a sharp dive. I looked at the increasing daily deposits in my bank card and remained completely unfazed. He could go bankrupt, and I could make my money, neither interfering with the other. But in Xingqing's eyes, it was clearly not the case. She was convinced that Ji Tingxian and I were in the same boat. So as soon as she heard the news of the Ji family's stock price plummeting, she immediately called to mock me. Although Ah Cheng and I broke up, Uncle Wu treats me really well. He buys me lots of designer brands and supports me unconditionally in everything I do. Unlike you, even though you have a wealthy husband, he doesn't even take you seriously. Finally, she didn't forget to add, oh, sorry, I forgot, your rich husband is about to go bankrupt too. I remained silent and hung up the phone. Sometimes watching a fool perform can be quite helpless. 11. Wu Dexing is just like that, spending money like water, especially on young girls. His pension, though not low, couldn't withstand his spending habits. In my previous life, my mother had to work several jobs every day, which was very hard. I also tried to persuade her to break up with Wu Dexing, but she insisted that it wasn't easy to find a caring companion at her age. Seeing that I couldn't persuade her, I thought about earning more to help her out. It was precisely because of this that I resigned from my position as a gymnastics teacher at a university, hoping to explore more career directions. So from that day on, the one working multiple jobs became me. However, what made it hardest for me to persevere was not the pressure from work, but my mother's insatiable greed. She never felt sorry for me, she only complained that I didn't give enough. Gradually, I realized that my mother was a hopeless romantic for that wretched old man Wu Dexing. She had no qualms about treating me like a beast of burden. So what about now? This sister of mine is notoriously lazy and gluttonous. Expecting her to go out and earn money is absolutely impossible, so my mother has no choice but to tough it out on her own. With my mother's frail physique, how could she possibly withstand their exploitation? Sure enough, just a few days later, I received a call from my mother. She kept crying and complaining over the phone, describing her situation as utterly miserable. I believe everything you said, but what does that have to do with me? I said indifferently and hung up the phone. Being a saint too often won't lead to a good outcome. Remember to let go of the urge to help others and respect their fate. 12. The competition for Form a Group trainees is already halfway through, and all the contestants are giving their all to compete for a debut spot. Except for Lin Qingyan. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have found it hard to believe that at this stage of the competition, someone could still perform Dance Maiden so poorly. Her movements were distorted, her voice was off-key, and she sang the final line, "No one sees the dancer's joys and sorrows." I endured the entire song, but I couldn't hold back any longer. No one sees my joys and sorrows either. The entire studio suddenly fell silent, my blood boiled, and I spoke sharply. If you had ever taken a single gymnastics class, you wouldn't have performed this piece with rhythmic gymnastics movements like this. Have you ever respected the audience? Have you ever respected rhythmic gymnastics? This is a desecration of the sport. As soon as I finished speaking, some fans behind me expressed their displeasure. What's wrong with this woman? Does she even understand gymnastics? Exactly. Our Yin Yin has already tried her best. This old woman is just jealous of Yin Yin. Lin Qingyan remained calm and smiled slightly. Sister Kihan is right. I'm indeed not very skilled in this area, but from what you said, It seems you have a deep understanding of rhythmic gymnastics. Could you demonstrate it yourself? As she spoke, she raised the performance ribbon in her hand. I understood. She was provoking me. She was now smiling brilliantly and elegantly, but it didn't matter. She wouldn't be smiling for much longer. I took the ribbon from her hand, spinning, leaping, and closing my eyes in a fluid and graceful motion. It's been a while since I practiced, so I'm a bit rusty. I smiled and handed the ribbon back to Lin Qingyan. She was completely stunned at the moment, but what stunned her even more was yet to come. That afternoon, someone online dug up another identity of mine that I had never mentioned, a former world champion in rhythmic gymnastics. 13. These are all honors I received in the past, and I don't think there's much to mention. However, the attention the outside world pays to this identity of mine far exceeds my imagination. In less than half a day, news about me spread across the internet. Everyone marveled at my excellence and admired my humility even more. I always said, how could an ordinary person marry into the wealthiest family? You've got to have some real skills to be worthy of it. What nonsense are you talking? That's a world champion we're talking about. It's the G family who's reaching high, thanks to my status as a world champion. The reputation of the G family's enterprise has also recovered. After falling for over a week, the stock price has finally started to rise, and the G family has narrowly escaped disaster this time. My mother-in-law, who had been anxious for days, finally felt somewhat relieved. I told you, being able to marry Henin is a stroke of luck for your G family. You better know how fortunate you are, you brat. It was a long time before I found out that the person who first revealed my champion status online was actually hired by my mother-in-law. I asked her why she did it. She looked smug. My daughter-in-law is so outstanding. I can't let her be bullied by those little nobodies. 14. While I was thriving and flourishing, Lin Qingyan's life was not going so well. After the dancer incident, her popularity plummeted. The company poured a lot of resources into her, but her poor professional skills rendered all those resources wasted. The company had no choice but to consider promoting someone else, and so Lin Qingyan became the company's discarded pawn. I don't know where this evil wind blew in from, but public opinion began speculating that I would definitely take the opportunity to trample Lin Qingyan to death in order to promote my own trainee. Lin Qingyan herself even abandoned her last shred of dignity. Facing the camera, she tearfully said that she was under immense pressure, in a terrible state, felt targeted, and might withdraw from the competition at any moment due to the unbearable pressure. The trolls also seized the moment to exert their influence, constantly insinuating that she had been suppressed by me. In reality, these were nothing more than the struggles of a cornered beast. She had already been abandoned by the company. This was an indisputable fact. No matter how much she struggled, she was only paying out of her own pocket to boost the income of marketing accounts. All I needed to do was watch quietly, but I forgot that I still had a teammate like Ji Tingxian, who was as clumsy as a pig. This time, he was once again the first to step forward and make his stance clear. However, unlike last time, this time he firmly stood by my side. 15. I rushed into his office, covered in dust, and seeing his expression of seeking credit and reward, my anger flared up uncontrollably. Did you really not remember a single word I said last time about keeping public and private matters separate? Are you a pig brain? He didn't understand the situation and was helplessly furious. You woman, I'm protecting you. Why aren't you satisfied? What exactly do you want me to do? My phone vibrated in my pocket. I took it out and looked at the screen, my vision going dark. The rival company had moved faster than I expected. As soon as I saw Ji Tingxuan's outrageous statement, I immediately contacted the PR team, striving to minimize the impact of public opinion, but now it seems I was still a step too late. Ji Tingxuan's negative news has already flooded the internet. Ji Tingxian speaking up for Xing Qihan at this moment. Isn't that just pouring oil on the fire? LOL, a rotten cucumber trying to play the role of a devoted lover. For a while, all sorts of scandalous news about him were dug up. Of course, I knew these were all false. But what do gossip-loving netizens care about that? For 3 whole days, the incident remained highly popular. I was determined to let him clean up his own mess. He struggled for over a month without making any progress, and in the end, it was my mother-in-law who stepped in to help him settle things. At the family dinner that day, my mother-in-law was physically and mentally exhausted. I'm getting older and have long wanted to step back. This is the last time I'll help you. From now on, don't come to me with any company matters. Listen more to your wife. He's quite adept at applying what he learns. Honey, do you have any suggestions for the company's future development? I took a sip of red wine and looked at my mother-in-law. Mom, if conditions allow, I suggest you have another child. 16. When it rains, it pours. Lately, there hasn't been a single thing that has given me peace of mind. Just as the mess caused by Ji Tingxian was resolved, News came that my mother was hospitalized due to illness. As soon as Ji Tingxian and I arrived at the hospital room, my mother started complaining to me. "You finally made it, you little rascal, at least you have some conscience, you praised me too soon. We're actually here to ask for the 500,000 yuan that Ji Tingxian transferred to you back, that fool, in an attempt to curry favor with me." Transferred 500,000 yuan without a second thought as soon as he heard my mother was hospitalized. Fortunately, he came to me right afterward to claim credit, or I might have lost 500,000 yuan for nothing and remained in the dark. Xing Qihan, you're really too much. It's one thing that you didn't contribute any money yourself, but now you even want to take back the money your brother-in-law gave. I glanced over coldly and saw Xing Qing, carrying large and small bags, had just returned from outside. With Wu Dexing following behind her, it looks like the two of them went out shopping. My mother worked herself sick just to support these two freeloaders, and yet they still had the leisure to go out shopping. How dare they criticize me? I sneered coldly. Oh, buying so many luxury items. Could it be that you're using the 500,000 my family lent you? Mind your own business. The money was lent to me by my brother-in-law. What's it to you? I teased. Oh, your brother-in-law regrets it and plans to take it back. Xing Qing blinked her big eyes and looked at Ji Tingxian. Brother-in-law, is what she said true? I remained calm and looked at Ji Tingxian, who, like a kitten being handled, obediently nodded, earning a smile from me in return. I then turned to Xing Qing. If you don't want to pay it back, that's fine, just give me the interest. Xing Qing grumbled as she took out her phone to transfer the money. You rotten-hearted thing, all you care about is money, 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 unlike me, who values relationships. I glanced at her, then at Wu Dexing, who had been fawning over her from behind. If you value emotional connections, that's the best. Uncle Wu has deep feelings for you. 17. In the blink of an eye, the final night of the group formation arrived, witnessed by millions. Han Zishi, who belongs to the same company as Lin Qingyan, emerged as a dark horse and won the championship, debuting as the center. Many might find this outcome surprising, but I understand that this young girl's talent truly deserves such a reward. I've seen her practicing dance alone late at night. I've seen her bruised and tearful from trying to master difficult moves, only to get back up and keep going. I've seen her practicing with an 4 drip in her arm, even when she had a fever of 40 degrees. To be fair, she works harder and is more outstanding than all the trainees under my management. Now, she stands at the very center of the stage, holding her trophy in front of everyone, crying like a child, through her sobs. She expressed endless gratitude to me, saying it was all thanks to me that she had reached this point today. On the eve of the competition, rumors had been circulating that I was using capital to suppress trainees from other companies in order to promote my own artists. Many unscrupulous marketing accounts even asserted that the final center position would definitely go to my trainee. However, reality dealt these people a harsh slap in the face. I did indeed use capital, but it was used to support Han Zishi. During that time, there were rumors among the trainees that Han Zishi was considering withdrawing from the competition. For a girl who loved the stage so much, withdrawing must have been a last resort. After sending someone to inquire, I learned that her father was seriously ill and couldn't afford medical treatment. I didn't hesitate and covered all of her father's medical expenses, which allowed her to focus on the competition without any worries. Dreams are precious, and children from ordinary families should be even more courageous in pursuing them. I hope you never give up easily. I'm here for you. 18. I thought that after finishing the show's recording, I could stay away from all the drama and take a good rest for a while, but as fate would have it, the secret formula for G's flagship product was leaked. In the previous life, the G family never recovered from this incident and went completely bankrupt 6 months later. This news caused quite a stir at the time. My sister cried and told me that it was all because of that bitch Lin Qingyan. Seeing no hope of rising to power, she turned to the arms of the CEO of Guoguan Group. The secret recipe was something she extracted from Ji Tingxian and leaked. But in this life, Ji Tingxian follows my lead every day and has long since cut ties with Lin Qingyan. How could he still fall for her tricks? 19. Ji Tingxian stammered. She said if I don't give her the secret recipe, she'll have someone kidnap you. I rubbed my forehead and said, guess why she doesn't just kidnap me directly? Is it because she doesn't like the idea? I shouted angrily. I go out with 2 bodyguards every day. How is she supposed to kidnap me? Do you have a brain? And even if she did, so what? Am I more valuable? Or is the secret recipe more valuable? You're more valuable. You're more valuable than anything. Ji Tingxian answered instantly. Besides, we have so many product lines at home. It's not like we rely on this one product to make a living. I was so angry that my mind went blank, and I really wanted to tear his head open myself to see what kind of structure was inside. Seeing my expression grow increasingly unpleasant, he whispered, "What should we do now?" Mom said to listen to you more. I let out a long sigh and looked out the window. "I'll point you to a clear path. Why don't you just jump out now?" The situation was extremely awkward for a moment. But thankfully my phone rang just in time. I had just pressed the answer button when I heard my mom's frantic, almost hysterical voice. "Come back quickly, something's happened to your sister, 20. Zinkeen was crying so hard she could barely speak, and my mom kept hesitating, as if there was something she couldn't bring herself to say. It took me a while to finally understand what had actually happened. To put it simply, my sister was almost raped. And the one who tried to force himself on her was none other than my mother's new partner, Wu Dexing. I knew my sister was foolish, but I never imagined she could be this foolish. My mother was at a loss. What do we do now? With your sister in this state and your Uncle Wu having run off, how am I supposed to live the rest of my life? Her wailing made me even more irritated, and I snapped impatiently, "What else can we do? First, call the police and have him arrested. We'll figure out the rest later." My mother's face changed drastically upon hearing this, and she hurriedly began to stop me. No, you can't call the police. If you do, your Uncle Wu will really be finished. Besides, flies don't go after a cracked egg. If Ying had been more careful, the man wouldn't have assaulted her. It's still the same familiar mother I know. In my previous life, when I told her that the old pervert had designs on me, she had the same damn attitude. From that moment, I understood that my mother was a complete romantic fool. She would rather believe her daughter was a misbehaving, lowly person than admit that the man she fancied was an old lecher. Zinkeen wasn't crying anymore, but her expression looked even more desperate than before. Taking advantage of the moment my mother went out to use the restroom, she confronted me. "You knew he was like this all along, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me?" Of course, how could I not know? I'm just smarter and more decisive than her. When I discovered Wu Dexing's true nature and realized my mother wouldn't stand by my side, I fled that hellhole overnight and started living on my own. Almost all the money I had earned before was in my mother's hands. So life after leaving home was extremely tough for me. I also tried to seek help from my wealthy sister, but at the height of her success, she wouldn't even glance my way. "Now you dare to accuse me. How shameless." I looked at Zinkeen and said angrily. She was momentarily stunned by my words. I glanced at her disdainfully. "So what if you've been reborn? So what if you made a different choice? You can see it now, can't you? No matter what you choose, you're the one who loses. Do you know why?" Zinkeen clenched her lower lip tightly, her expression turning fierce, her eyes filled with hatred. I moved closer to her, gently touched her beautiful face, and said with a smile, "Because you're foolish, you always place your hopes on others, never thinking of changing anything by yourself. Silly sister, even if a fool and a waste were to live 100 lives over, they'd only be performing 100 different ways for a fool to die. I'll kill you, suddenly." She rushed forward recklessly, grabbing my collar and trying to choke me. However, the moment she made her move, bodyguards burst through the door and pinned her to the ground, causing her to let out a scream like a slaughtered pig. I crouched down to examine her closely, sighing with pity. Tsk, you didn't really think you were still on the same level as me, did you? I already gave you face by letting you get close, and you actually tried to kill me, pinned to the ground." She struggled and writhed frantically, like a madwoman. Oh, I can't say she's like a madwoman. Her condition suggests she's genuinely gone mad. That night, my mother called me in tears, crying, "What should we do? Your sister has gone mad and jumped into the river." 21. She was lucky to be pulled out in time, but even before jumping into the river, she was already acting erratically. The shock of the cold water only worsened her mental state. Now, whenever she sees a man, she goes into a frenzy and becomes violent. My mother had no choice but to pay out of her own pocket to send her to a mental hospital. "Are you sure you won't help? Your mother is really struggling," Ji Tingxian asked cautiously, his eyes darting furtively in my direction, like an old eunuch awaiting an imperial decree. I shot him a glare. "Mind your own business. Her mindset matches the suffering she's endured. You should worry about your own affairs. I heard the workers haven't been paid for over 2 months and are about to cause trouble." He patted his chest and said, "Don't worry about that. I already have a solution. In a couple of days, just wait and see how your man performs." I looked at him with a mix of doubt and belief, muttering to myself, "Can I really trust him?" It has to be said that when it comes to being disappointing, Ji Tingxian never lets me down. Within a few days, he answered my question with his actual actions. Not a shred of trust. 22. He called a so-called mobilization meeting with employee representatives from the company. Seeing how confident and ambitious he looked, I thought he had actually come up with a good way to get through the crisis. Who would have thought he would propose suspending workers' wages and then deliver a lengthy speech? I know everyone is going through tough times, so I am willing to lead by example. Starting today, I, Ji Tingxian, will also stop receiving my salary. Just like everyone else, I believe that as long as we all work together, we will definitely overcome this challenge. The stench of this capitalist bloodsucker is so strong it makes me sick to my stomach. How could the worker representatives in the audience listen to his nonsense? They were all shouting about beating him up. Just as the situation was about to spiral out of control, a figure strode onto the stage with heroic poise, raised a thin rod in hand, and struck Ji Tingxian squarely on the back. The audience fell silent instantly. Ji Tingxian was stunned for 2 seconds, then turned to look back, his face filled with disbelief. The one who hit him was none other than his own mother, and the one who handed over the stick was none other than his own wife. 23. This strike is on behalf of the workers. My mother-in-law held the stick in her hand, her expression serious. You're a rich kid from a wealthy family, so of course you don't rely on your salary to get by, but have you ever thought about how these ordinary workers, without their wages, are supposed to support their families? The anger on my mother-in-law's face gradually faded, replaced by a look of disappointment. I never let you suffer a single hardship, but I never imagined that would end up harming you, turning you into such a useless person. Ji Tingxian rubbed the spot on his back where he had been hit, looking aggrieved. My mother-in-law pushed him aside with a look of disgust, then turned to me with a smile, waving her hand to signal me to come up on stage. Regarding the company's future, there is no need for everyone to worry. I hereby promise that salaries will be paid as usual for the next 2 months. If the company is unable to continue operating after 2 months, I will pay everyone the corresponding compensation in accordance with the law, but I believe we won't reach that point, because my wonderful daughter-in-law has already prepared a comprehensive response plan for this crisis. As she spoke, she gently took my hand. Oh, wait, I should address you as Chairman Zhang. I now officially announce that Ji Tingxian is stepping down from the position of chairman. A familiar female voice rang out from behind the crowd. Zhang Qihan, don't celebrate too soon. 24. I've spent a fortune to secure a connection with the Zhang family. Your raw material supply chain is about to be cut off. Even if you have the greatest skills, you won't be able to revive this dead game. Lin Qingyan arrived uninvited, with the words "revenge is served" practically written all over her face. Ji Tingxian, now that you have a wife, you've thrown me, your old flame, aside. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Bet you never imagined that the family business your parents built would be brought down by me alone. She made her way through the crowd, surrounded by bodyguards, and walked up to me with a defiant expression. Zhang Qihan, you took what was rightfully mine. You're really asking for trouble. Ji Tingxian shielded me behind him and began to deliver his domineering CEO lines. If you're deliberately trying to provoke me, let me tell you, you've succeeded. Get out of here, I said impatiently, grabbing Ji Tingxian by the collar and yanking him backward. Throwing him behind me, I stepped forward to meet Lin Qingyan's challenging gaze, not backing down in the slightest. You don't really think you've won, do you? 25. In my previous life, Guiguan Group secured victory by cutting off the Ji family's supply of raw materials. Coincidentally, in my previous life, I worked as a live-in nanny for a period of time, and my employer, Zhang Weiping, was actually the owner of the Ji family's raw material supplier. However, at that time, the situation was already set in stone, and there was nothing I could do. This time, however, is different. When I noticed that things were once again heading in the same direction, I anticipated Lin Qingyan's next move and took the initiative to contact Zhang Weiping first. Zhang Weiping got divorced early in life and never remarried. He raised his 5.5-year-old daughter, Miao Miao, all by himself, spoiling her to no end. Miao Miao had been an extremely picky eater since she was little, never eating properly. For this, Zhang Weiping spent a lot of money hiring people to help adjust her habits, but nothing worked, until I came along. It took me about half a year to fix this little girl's picky eating habits. Once she started eating normally, her personality improved a lot too. For this, Zhang Weiping was very grateful to me, since I had Miao Miao completely figured out in my previous life. Handling her this time would naturally be no problem at all. The Ji and Zhang families have been business partners for many years. Leveraging this relationship, I invited the father and daughter to the dinner party and presented them with a chestnut cake I had personally made, Miao Miao's absolute favorite. The little girl indeed fell in love with it at first bite, devouring several pieces in a row. Zhang Weiping was utterly astonished on the spot and insisted on asking me for the recipe. saying he was willing to pay any price. I didn't want his money, but I did want his guarantee of a steady supply of raw materials. He agreed quite readily and went home satisfied, clutching my recipe. My mother-in-law was a bit uneasy. "Aren't you afraid he might go back on his word?" "Don't worry, even if Lin Qingyan tries to tempt him with benefits in the future, I dare guarantee he won't change his mind. That chestnut cake, Meow Meow will get tired of it in about 10 days to half a month. When that time comes, he'll have to come begging me, and I have hundreds of recipes for Meow Meow's favorite foods in my hands, enough to keep him hooked for over a decade." 26. After answering a phone call, Lin Qingyan's face turned pale and then flushed, looking quite unpleasant. I sneered. "Why aren't you laughing anymore? Is it just not in your nature to laugh?" Seeing her rendered speechless by my retort, I pressed my advantage. "Was it Zhang Weiping who called you? Did he tell you he wouldn't agree to your demands? Oh dear, it seems he doesn't care for your dirty money." Furious, she rushed forward and started grappling with me. Though Ji Tingxian was a mental lightweight, his reflexes were sharp enough. He grabbed Lin Qingyan's arm and shoved her back forcefully. "A woman of Ji Tingxuan's, how dare you lay a hand on her?" At this moment, the domineering CEO's lines don't seem quite so nauseating anymore. Lin Qingyan was shoved off balance and signaled with her eyes for the bodyguards beside her to step in quickly. To be honest, I really wanted to see if a battle-damaged version of Ji Tingxian would be more appealing, but reason tells me that if a fight really breaks out, it might not be as simple as just battle damage, so I spoke up to stop them. "If you protect her now, and she ends up in court later, don't blame me for not warning you in advance when you can't collect your wages." "What kind of nonsense are you talking about?" "Oh, you don't know yet. I've already submitted a report to the relevant authorities, accusing you of infringing on trade secrets and engaging in unfair business competition. The money you gave to Zhang Weiping has also been submitted as evidence. What should we do? Someone might end up in jail." Lin Qingyan's ability to handle pressure was too weak, and she fainted right on the stage. Ji Tingxuan gave me a big thumbs up. "Honey, you're amazing. What would I do without you? Get lost. If it weren't for the fear of Mom's hard work going to waste, I really wouldn't bother with this mess of yours." 27. When I say the Ji family business is my mother-in-law's life's work, I'm not exaggerating at all. She once told me about her struggles when she was young. Back then, my father-in-law was just a greenhorn who lost money in every business he tried, becoming the laughingstock of the whole village. It wasn't until he married my mother-in-law that their life started to improve. Later on, when the Ji family business was established, my mother-in-law was even busier, handling everything without a single thing she didn't worry about. You have no idea how much I struggled during those years. My health deteriorated, and the doctor said if I kept pushing myself like that, I wouldn't be able to keep the baby in my womb. Recalling the past, my mother-in-law looked pained. But even though I worked tirelessly for the company all these years, I never had an official position. Tingxuan's late father always said women couldn't be entrusted with important responsibilities. What nonsense. She sounded resentful, but then suddenly grew smug. No matter how much he schemed, he never expected to die young. After he passed away, didn't both his son and the company have to listen to me? Just thinking about it makes me feel vindicated. My mother-in-law is usually an elegant lady, but I never expected her to have such an attitude when talking about her late husband. I found it somewhat absurd, but even more endearing. I smiled and said, "Fortunately, Tingxian isn't like his father. He's quite supportive of me taking over the company. Would he dare not support you?" My mother-in-law took my hand and said gently, "My dear daughter, you must remember that we women are no less capable than those big men. There's no need for us to hide behind them and support them." I understood her meaning and nodded with a smile. 28. After weighing the pros and cons, I still called the police behind my mother's back, and Wu Dexing was sentenced to 6 years in prison. On the day of the arrest, my mother came to me and made a scene, saying I had ruined her happiness for the rest of her life. I told her that wasn't the case. Happiness was still possible, so I immediately sent her to the happy nursing home. Ji Tingxian was sent to work at the grassroots level. As my mother-in-law put it, he needed to experience all the hardships he had missed over the past 30 years, so he wouldn't be so useless. To ensure he wouldn't receive any special treatment, my mother-in-law deliberately concealed his identity and sent him to the most remote factory under the company's jurisdiction. At first, Ji Tingxian cried and threw tantrums, acting like a spoiled child who didn't want to go to school. This situation ended on the day he received his salary, a monthly wage of 1,500 yuan, but he carried himself with the attitude of someone earning 15 million. That day, he called me, overjoyed, to boast about his huge sum of 1,500 yuan. "Did you know? This is the first time I've earned money through my own labor. For the first time, I feel that my existence has meaning." And that is through labor. From then on, Ji Tingshuan's motivation grew stronger and stronger. By carrying heavy loads in the factory, he repeatedly earned recognition as an advanced worker. I used to think I had raised him to be useless, but it turns out I chose the wrong path. He's actually the physical labor type. My mother-in-law left with that remark, pulling her suitcase as she embarked on her vacation journey. As for me, I wasn't so leisurely. Both the G family business and my entertainment company were thriving. I was busy making money and counting it, overwhelmed with work. This feeling of pain mixed with happiness is truly captivating. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The day before the wedding, my sister eloped with her ex-boyfriend. I was drugged and forced to marry the bankrupt and disabled Zhou Yunshin in her place. That night, he used a shattered wine glass to ruin my face, which bore a 50% resemblance to my sister's. The one I wanted to marry was never you. Who do you think you are? You're not her, and you don't deserve to take her place. In the years that followed, I carefully healed his legs, stood by him as he made a comeback, and helped him rise to glory and success, yet he still looked down on me. Later, I was kidnapped by his rival and suffered a living hell. I thought he would come to save me, but when he appeared, Zhou Yunshin's face was as cold as frost. The Zhou group is backed by hundreds of families. I cannot abandon them for you, Mingxi. I am sorry. If there is a next life, I will make it up to you. He looked at me directly for the first time, only to force me to die. I smiled bitterly and plunged into the deep sea, opening my eyes again. I had been reborn back to the night before I was forced to marry in someone else's place. Zhou Yunshin was getting married again. This time, he finally married the white moonlight he had been longing for. The whole city was broadcasting the news, with a grand and spectacular display, and a romantic sea of flowers stretching endlessly. When I heard the news, I lay on the ground like a wild dog, barely breathing, covered in filth and blood, utterly disheveled. The kidnapper didn't believe Zhou Yunshin would be so heartless. In a fit of rage, he chopped off my ring finger, along with that plain wedding ring. It was provocatively sent to the wedding venue. The bloody, mangled limbs frightened Meng Qingya into a flood of tears. Zhou Yunshin flew into a rage and finally agreed to see me. Dressed in a sharp, heavy-duty suit, he looked handsome and spirited, full of vigor, and I, disheveled and bound at the cliff's edge, teetered on the brink. The kidnapper clamored for a ransom of 10 million, the sharp blade pressed tightly against my neck. After all, we were once husband and wife, even with a new lover. Surely Mr. Zhou wouldn't refuse to pay the sum. Yet, upon hearing this, Zhou Yunshin's face suddenly darkened. He looked up at me, his expression as cold as ice. Currently, Zhou Group is handling several projects and is short on funds. Behind the company are hundreds of families. I can't abandon them for you. I opened my mouth, but my voice was too hoarse to speak. Tears and blood blurred my vision. I felt increasingly ridiculous. I never expected Zhou Yunshin to actually save me, but for a mere 10 million, for someone with a fortune of billions, it's not even worth mentioning. Yet he could abandon my life without a second thought. The first time he truly looked at me was to force me to die. Mingxi, I'm sorry. If there is a next life, I will definitely make it up to you. Zhou Yunshin's indifferent attitude completely enraged the kidnapper. In a fit of rage, he vengefully pushed me off the cliff with brutal force. At the moment I was swallowed by the sea and suffocated. It felt as if I had returned to 7 years ago. 2. I am the illegitimate daughter of the Meng family, hidden away from the light. From the moment I can remember, it has been nothing but endless scorn and insults. The one who has a childhood engagement with Zhou Yunshin is my sister, Meng Qingya. The true cherished pearl of the Meng family, Zhou Yunshin had long been deeply in love with Meng Qingya, but ever since he accidentally became disabled in both legs and the Zhou family went bankrupt and fell into crisis, Meng Qingya began to look down on Zhou Yunshin. She spent her days at home threatening to take her own life, crying and making a scene, demanding to break off the engagement, rather than force me to marry a bankrupt cripple. I'd rather die. On the night before the wedding, she even ran off with her ex-boyfriend. To protect their reputation, the Meng family forced me to marry Zhou Yunshin. Mingxi, the Meng family has raised you for so many years. It's time for you to repay them. Don't be ungrateful when given face. You, a bastard daughter, can marry into the Zhou family. What a huge advantage you've taken. Everyone sarcastically says I'm so lucky. A mere illegitimate child can also fly up the branch and become a phoenix, but they've forgotten. The one Zhou Yunshin wants to marry is not me. Even if they find every excuse, they skip the wedding ceremony to delay and deceive. They apply heavy makeup on my face to conceal my appearance. That night, Zhou Yunshin still recognized at a glance that I was not Meng Qingya, but under the watchful eyes of everyone, he couldn't afford to lose face and had no choice but to grit his teeth and accept it. And the Meng family had long since prepared a way out. They shifted all the blame onto me. They said I had long admired Zhou Yunqin and was jealous of Meng Qingya, causing her to fall into severe depression and forcing her to seek treatment abroad, and the Meng family, valuing loyalty and righteousness, had no choice but to let me take her place in the marriage to fulfill their promise. Zhou Yunqin believed it without hesitation. In his anger, he smashed the wineglass in his hand to the ground. The shards of glass flying everywhere ruined my face, which resembled Meng Qingya's. I never wanted to marry you. Who do you think you are? You're not her, and you don't deserve to take her place. I covered the wound that wouldn't stop bleeding, feeling as if I were trapped in an ice cellar. No matter how I tried to explain afterward, Zhou Yunqin was convinced that I had ruined his marriage with Meng Qingya. Those around me also looked down on me for stealing someone else's love. Amid countless curses and disdain, I became so bewildered that even I started to believe it. To atone for my sins, I began to learn how to please Zhou Yunqin. When he had difficulty walking, I personally took care of him and accompanied him to rehabilitation until he could leave his wheelchair and stand again. When he fell seriously ill and was unconscious, I climbed 9,000 steps, kowtowing at each one, wearing out my knees to pray for his safety and blessings. When the Zhou family faced a shortage of funds, I traveled everywhere to help him secure investments, drinking until I vomited blood, assisting him in making a comeback and achieving great success. Yet Zhou Yunqin never gave me a friendly look. Later, when the Zhou group was thriving, he successfully took revenge on the competitor who had caused his bankruptcy. Little did he expect that the other party, with no way out, would plan a kidnapping. I risked my life to protect his safety. But unfortunately, I was captured. They tied me up, intending to use my life to force Zhou Yunqin to back down and demand a ransom of millions. Emotionally, I am Zhou Yunqin's wife. Logically, I have a life-saving favor owed to Zhou Yunqin, but for all his calculations, he never anticipated that Zhou Yunqin had never loved me. Just like that, he watched me fall into the deep sea, leaving no trace behind. Zhou Yunqin wants to make it up to me in the next life, but if I could be reborn, I wouldn't want to meet him again. My whole life has been beyond my control. I just want to live for myself once. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returning to the night before I was forced to marry in someone else's place. 3. Gazing at my reflection in the mirror, my right cheek was still fair and unblemished. My eyes instantly reddened. I almost dug my nails into my flesh to hold back the tears. Heaven has eyes, allowing me to live a second life. In my previous life, I was constrained by the Meng family and their so-called kindness of raising me. I have been patient and yielding in every situation. As an illegitimate child, I am a despicable existence that disrupts others' families. I was born to be scorned by everyone, yet I was not the one who made the first mistake. Why should I bear all the bitter consequences alone? What I owed the Meng family in the past, I have already repaid in my previous life. I never want to have any connection with Zhou Yunqin again. This time, I will live for myself. Trembling, I picked up the scissors beside me and cut the pure white wedding dress on my body to shreds. Changing into comfortable sportswear, I took a deep breath and leaped from the second-floor balcony, for the entire Meng family never expected it, that timid and cowardly me would choose to run away from the wedding. The moment I stumbled out the door, they all froze. What are you all standing around for? The bride has run away. Go after her. Once they snapped out of it, everyone rushed toward me. I ran with all my strength, but the footsteps behind me grew increasingly urgent. Suddenly, a familiar beeping sound reached my ears. With great effort, I lifted my eyes and saw a Maybach approaching. Without a second thought, I threw myself forward. I crashed directly into Jiang Yueli's beloved car. Damn, who's tired of living, daring to mess with me? With a furious shout, the Meng family members behind him immediately dared not step forward. There was no other reason. Jiang Yueli was the beloved youngest son of the Jiang family, arrogant and unruly, acting recklessly. No one dared to provoke the third young master of the Jiang family, who was like a living king of hell. When he saw it was me, disheveled and collapsed in front of his car, Jiang Yueli was stunned. Mengxi, what are you doing out so late at night? Wait, why are you wearing a white veil on your head? Isn't it Meng Qingya who's getting married tomorrow? Ignoring the pain all over my body, I desperately grabbed his wrist. Jiang Yueli, help me. They're forcing me to marry Zhou Yunqin. I don't want to. I'd rather die than marry him. Please, save me. I screamed with all my might. A choked sob escaped my throat, and my entire body trembled uncontrollably. Jiang Yueli's gaze fell, and he raised an eyebrow with amusement. On what grounds do you believe I would help you? No. You definitely will. My eyes were bloodshot. My gaze more resolute than ever before, the Meng family was instantly thrown into disarray. The lead bodyguard captain stepped forward with a forced resolve. Master Jiang, my young lady was reckless and offended you. After she gets married, we will definitely come to apologize another day. What are you barking about? The one who had the arranged marriage with Zhou Yunqin was clearly Meng Qingya. Jiang Yueli's eyes darkened as he stepped directly in front of me. Fine. Now that the Meng family sees the Zhou family in decline, they want to force Mengxi to take the blame and cover it up. How utterly shameless. You all listen to me. I'm definitely going to handle this matter. Mengxi is under my protection, and I dare anyone to try and stop me. 5. With Genuelli present, no one from the Meng family dared to step forward. They could only hesitate and panic, rushing to contact Mr. Meng and Mrs. Meng. I was safely brought into the neighboring Jiang family under Genuelli's protection. As soon as I entered, I felt a wave of warmth, yet I couldn't stop trembling. Sitting on the sofa, my mind was tangled with the unbearable, painful memories of my past life. When I came back to my senses, I found an extra coat draped over me. The sun must be rising from the west. I never thought I'd see the day you'd stand up for yourself. Mengxi, impressive. Genuelli clicked his tongue softly and reached out to gently tap my forehead. I slowly lifted my gaze, a whirlwind of emotions churning inside me. No one knew that I, the despised illegitimate daughter, and Genuelli could barely be considered childhood friends. The Meng and Jiang families were neighbors, but they rarely interacted. When I was a child, I was looked down upon and kept in the backyard of the villa. Genuelli, on the other hand, was mischievous and loved adventure, so over time, we started to have contact. He would catch butterflies and weave grass ropes to amuse me, and he would occasionally bring me delicious and expensive little treats. That was the only glimmer in my barren life. But as I grew older, I gradually realized the despicable nature of my identity. Fearing I might bring trouble to Genuelli, I took the initiative to distance myself. Later, after marrying Zhou Yunqin, I only had one interaction with Genuelli. At that time, disfigured as I was, I felt particularly inferior and even dared not meet him. All that remained was a brief phone call. On the other end of the line, his voice sounded a bit hoarse. "Is he good to you?" I held back the tears welling up in my eyes and forced a smile. "I am now Mrs. Zhou, and I'm living quite a glamorous life." After a moment of silence, Genuelli also smiled. "That's good. If he dares to bully you, I'll stand up for you." The moment the phone call ended, tears couldn't stop flowing down. Now that we meet again, I can't help but laugh out loud. Genuelli looks at me with confusion. "Oh no, did you hit your head and become silly?" I shake my head gently, my gaze falling on him, and I sincerely sigh. "I just feel that it's really good to see you again." Genuelli's face instantly turns red. His eyes were even more restless, darting around, not daring to look at me. "Only now do you realize how good I am." "Too late." He spoke with a tough tone, yet he didn't forget to slip my favorite hot milk into my hand. 6. That night, I had a terrifying nightmare. In the dream, I inexplicably drifted back to my past life. I saw the usually indifferent Zhou Yunqin holding my lifeless body, weeping uncontrollably. He held a grand funeral for me, declaring to the world that I was the only one who could be his wife, and Meng Qingya, whom he had once held in his hands, became the laughingstock of everyone. After my death, Zhou Yunqin lived in a daze. He stayed in my room, refusing to come out, still tightly clutching my jade pendant. It was the only keepsake left to me by my mother, who died in childbirth, and it was my most precious possession. He held the jade pendant, crying as if his heart were breaking, as if he loved me with all his soul. Finally, in a drunken stupor, he swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills, saying he would die for love to be with me. But wasn't he the one who caused my death? Startled awake, I shivered, feeling nothing but absurdity and amusement. The next day, I woke up. As soon as I stepped out, I ran into Genuelli returning from his morning run. The young man was as radiant as the morning sun, far more pleasing to the eye than the gloomy and brooding Zhou Yunqin. "Mengxi, what would you like for breakfast? I'll have the kitchen prepare it for you." "Agreed, I've got your back." He approached me with a playful grin, but when he saw the jade pendant in my hand, he froze for a moment. "Isn't this the keepsake your mother left you? You usually treasure it so much that you never take it off. Yesterday you saved me, and I don't have anything else of value on me, only this," I answered truthfully. "I didn't save you to get something in return, then." "I'll take it back." "No, a gift given is like water poured out. You have to help me put it on." It's strange, the heating in the Meng family's house isn't set very high, yet, as soon as I helped Genuelli put on the jade pendant, his ears turned red from the heat. 7. Genuelli was afraid that the Meng family would come to bother me again. Just after breakfast, he decided to take me abroad to relax. As we passed by the Meng family in his Maybach, I saw Meng Qingya, who was supposed to have eloped and run away. When she caught sight of me, her eyes were filled with surging hatred. "Mengxi, as a bastard daughter, you should be kneeling and thanking me for allowing you to marry into the Zhou family. How dare you harm me, you wretched woman? Just you wait, I will never let you off." Mr. Meng and Mrs. Meng, standing nearby, glared at me with the same intense hatred. It's truly a case of heaven having no eyes. letting us have the misfortune of encountering such a shameless ingrate like you. But clearly, the one who had the arranged marriage with Zhou Yunshan was Zhou Qingya, not me. I won't take the blame for this. Over there, Meng Qingya was forcibly dragged away, cursing me all the way to a miserable death, yet I felt nothing at all. In my past life, I had already died a miserable death. In this life, no one can control my fate. Jiang Yueli listened to the unbearable insults and felt it was unfair for me. He stepped on the accelerator and drove away from the Meng family. Along the way, he clumsily tried to comfort me, telling me not to overthink it, but before we had driven far, we collided with a large wedding procession. The one sitting in the back seat of the Rolls-Royce, dressed in a custom-made suit, is Zhou Yunshan. How could it be him? My heart suddenly pounded like a drum. A chill of unease spread from my spine all the way through my body. Why would Zhou Yunshan come to welcome the bride? After his legs were disabled, he was most afraid of being seen by others. This is completely different from the previous life. Thinking of all the past events, my face in the passenger seat turned as pale as paper. Although Jiang Yueli was not clear about the entanglement between me and Zhou Yunshan, he could still see my fear. He leaned over to comfort me. Don't be afraid. Stay in the car and don't come out. Jiang Yueli actively pulled over to make way for the Zhou family's wedding car, then got out of the car. Congratulations, Mr. Zhou, on this joyous occasion in your life. So it's Yan Master Jiang, you're too kind. Zhou Yunshan instructed someone to push the wheelchair out of the car, appearing calm and composed. I recall that Yan Master Jiang lives next door to the Meng family. How are their preparations going? The auspicious time is almost over. But I haven't been able to reach them, Jiang Yueli said with an unchanged expression. When I went out, I heard that the bride kept crying and saying she didn't want to get married. I guess she can't bear to leave home. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yunshan in the wheelchair was stunned. A bitter smile then appeared at the corner of his lips. Indeed, she doesn't want to anymore. But it's okay, I'll make it up to you properly. Just as the two were about to finish their pleasantries, a cool breeze swept by, revealing the jade pendant hanging around Jiang Yueli's neck. The familiar pattern and style made Zhou Yunshan suddenly stop in his tracks. Then he slowly, word by word, Mr. Jiang, who gave you this jade pendant? 8. Hiding in the car. My heart tightened. Jiang Yueli replied calmly, this was given to me by the one I love. Why do you ask? Zhou Yunshan, however, refused to believe it. There were many similar jade pendants, but this one had a chip on it. He had seen it before. I clutched the front of my clothes tightly, sweating all over. It felt as if my neck was being squeezed, leaving me in too much pain to speak. My mind is filled with the pain and humiliation from my past life. Zhou Yunshan, who had been smiling and polite just moments before, suddenly darkened his expression. He issued a cold command. The Maybach was tightly surrounded by the wedding car procession. You're lying. This is clearly my fiancé's personal item. Guards, search the carriage. Seeing the Zhou family about to take action, let me see who dares, Jiang Yueli sneered, his stern eyes frosting over. Does Chief Zhou intend to trample the Jiang family's dignity into the ground? Now that the Zhou family is on the brink of bankruptcy, I wouldn't mind giving them a push over the edge. The blatant threat darkened Zhou Yunshan's face. Those around, upon hearing this, also dared not step forward rashly. After all, everyone had heard the rumors about Third Yan Master Jiang, the living king of hell. Though he appeared calm and smiling now, no one knew how they might be killed once he turned his back. But Zhou Yunshan still refused to give up. He pushed the wheelchair forward, until he saw the empty passenger seat of the Maybach. His expression froze slightly. With an indescribable sense of melancholy and relief, turning around, he apologized in a rare moment. After all, marriage is a major life event, so I've been particularly attentive. If I've offended you in any way, Third Yan Master, why not come for a celebratory drink tonight? I'll make sure to properly apologize. I don't care for it. Jiang Yueli's face was cold and stern, a faint sneer escaping the corner of his mouth. Seeing this, the assistant beside Zhou Yunshan whispered a reminder, Mr. Zhou, if we delay any longer, we'll miss the auspicious time. Missing the auspicious time for the wedding procession could affect the happiness of the marriage. As soon as the words were spoken, Zhou Yunshan gave the order without hesitation for the wedding car procession to continue moving forward. Only when the Rolls-Royce adorned with red silk had completely disappeared from sight, did Jiang Yueli withdraw his gaze, walk to the back of the car, and quickly open the trunk. Phew, I squinted my eyes, feeling the bright light, and gasped for breath. Mengshi, are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the hospital to have a look? Meeting Jiang Yueli's concerned gaze, I shook my head. I was also very grateful that I had thought of this method at the critical moment. In my previous life, during those countless agonizing days and nights in the Zhou family, there were several times when I was on the verge of giving up. I managed to get through by relying on the few remaining beautiful fragments in my memory. Most of them were the little quarrels and playful moments with Jiang Yueli. On his 18th birthday, the Jiang family gifted him his favorite Maybach. Once he got it, he couldn't wait to start modifying it. He would always talk nonstop in my ear about his modification ideas: the co-pilot seat that could lie completely flat, the small mechanism connecting the back row to the trunk. Over time, it left an impression in my mind. Before Zhou Yunqin could notice, I quickly hid myself away. My body trembled, and I couldn't help but feel my eyes welling up. In this lifetime, I have finally cut all ties with those who are irrelevant. Seeing my emotions in such turmoil, Jiang Yueli sensed something was off, but he considerately didn't press further. He crouched down, wrapping me tightly in his warm embrace, his right hand gently brushing through my hair. Oh dear, who is this poor little thing that's been bullied? From now on, with me around, I won't let you shed a single tear. Pinky promise, it's a deal. 9. Jiang Yueli could see the turmoil in my heart. He immediately took me abroad: London, Paris, Iceland, the Maldives. I spent most of the month traveling around. If you're not happy, go travel. If you're still not happy after traveling, it must be because you haven't been to enough places. Under the twisted logic of a certain Mr. Jiang, I successfully put the Meng family and Zhou Yunqin behind me. I didn't even take the time to recall the various pains of my past life. With a blink of the eyes, it was Special Forces-style tourism. Without even a moment to rest and catch my breath, I had to rush to the next beautiful spot. In the end, despite indulging in all sorts of food and drinks along the way, I still lost 5 pounds, and my muscles even became more toned all over. So, with me around, life's gotten a lot more enjoyable, hasn't it? Jiang Yueli grinned and stuck close, then eagerly suggested teaching me to dive and see the coral. He hadn't even finished speaking when his own sister, Jiang Qian, slapped him right onto the sand. Get out of here, you clueless fool. Can't you see Xiaoxi has been holding a cup of brown sugar water since last night and this morning? She's in a special condition right now. How can she possibly go into the water? Jiang Qian went on and on, scolding Jiang Yueli harshly. The latter looked at me with a pitiful expression, winking and making faces. It just so happened that Jiang Qian caught him in the act with a single glance back, and so, Jiang Qian, you lunatic, how dare you hit my face? I'll fight you to the death. I'm sorry, sis, I'm sorry, don't hit me. The familiar howls once again echoed across the beach. Lying in the rocking chair, I laughed until tears welled up in my eyes. Although Jiang Yueli was known among outsiders as the ruthless third young master Jiang, the Jiang family truly doted on him as their late-born son, but he had 3 older siblings above him, each one a presence that felt like bloodline suppression. In his own words, he was the one being bullied. The poor little thing. Xiaoxi, my older siblings are so mean to me. You're the best. Can you be my best friend forever? That was what Jiang Yueli, who had accidentally wandered into the backyard of the Meng family at the age of 6, said to me with tears in his eyes. Later I found out that he was too mischievous, which led to his 3 older siblings teaming up to discipline him. Xiaoxi, the seafood here is absolutely amazing. Come and try it. I looked up and saw Jiang Qian placing a plate of peeled crayfish in front of me. Not far away, Jiang Yueli, who had been thoroughly taught a lesson by her, was sitting at the table, huffing and puffing as he peeled another round of crayfish. Seeing my hesitation, Jiang Qian smiled. Men should do more work. That's the tradition of the Jiang family, eat more. This is Jiang Yueli's cooking. Seeing this, I agreed. Okay, thank you, Sister Jiang Qian. Jiang Qian tossed her hair. Not at all, I should be the one thanking you. If it weren't for you, how could I have gotten to eat the crayfish that Brat peeled with his own hands? She chuckled softly, her gaze toward me carrying a hint of something meaningful. I didn't understand, blinking in confusion. Sister Jiang Qian. Jiang Qian in front of me was stunned for a moment before suddenly covering her mouth and bursting into laughter. So my silly little brother still. TSK, you young people are really interesting. What does it mean? I blinked my eyes even more confusedly. Jiang Qian, however, waved her hand and changed the subject. Let me secretly tell you some embarrassing stories about that brat Jiang Yueli. After you distanced yourself from Shaoli in high school, he was so heartbroken. He hid under the covers wiping away tears, his eyes all red. Yet he still stubbornly denied it. Isn't that interesting? Hearing this, I immediately felt extremely guilty. Just as I was about to open my mouth to apologize, Jiang Qian stopped me. Xiaoxi, I'm telling you this now not to blame you. I can understand your difficulties and the reasons you had no choice. Because of the rumors from the outside world, you were afraid of affecting Shaoli, and distancing yourself from him was also to protect him. Jiang Qian looked at me intently, her tone very serious. Let's not mention the messy affairs of the Meng family. In the conflicts of the previous generation, you were also a victim. Those entanglements and mistakes shouldn't be blamed on you. Xiaoli said you are a very outstanding person, quick to learn anything, and there's no need to feel inferior. Those things that once troubled you, when you look back 10 or 20 years from now, they won't seem like much. Jiang Qian's slightly cool voice lingered in my ears, gradually turning into a warm current in my heart. My long eyelashes trembled slightly as my gaze fell upon Jiang Yueli, who was still struggling with the crayfish. My throat felt a bit itchy as I asked, Sister Jiang Qian, did he specifically ask you to come and guide me? Only Jiang Yueli would care about me, knowing exactly what has been troubling me deep down. He went the roundabout way of asking his sister to counsel me, the seemingly arrogant and disdainful third young master Jiang. Actually, he has a softer heart than anyone else. Oh, you two really are on the same wavelength. I mean, the kind of understanding between friends. Jiang Qian wore a strange, ant-like smile that I didn't understand, and she was quite bold about it. You're the first female friend Xiaoli has introduced to us. He really values you, and I hope the two of you can last a long time. At the end of her words, she clicked her tongue lightly. I also want to help my slow-witted, foolish brother earn some favor and get more chances. I still didn't understand her subtext, but one thing became clear to me. Jiang Yueli was very good to me. When someone treats me well, I should return the favor. So when Jiang Yueli said he had just set up a new studio and was short on hands, I agreed without hesitation. After all, I had worked at Zhou Group for so many years in my previous life, I was quite familiar with the relevant project processes. Then I regretted it. I should never have let the troubles from my past life cross my mind. Good things don't come true, but bad things do. Just got off the plane, I was immediately cornered by Zhou Yunqin at the airport. 10. Jiang Yueli was having too much fun surfing in the Maldives. I started showing signs of a cold even before getting off the plane. My nose was so red that I could have passed for Santa Claus, worried that he might be too exhausted. I asked him to rest in the parking lot first. I went to collect the luggage by myself. He hadn't taken 2 steps with his suitcase in tow. Zhou Yunqin, coming from the opposite direction, blocked the path completely. It had been a long time since they last met, and he had lost a great deal of weight in his wheelchair, with deep hollows on both sides of his cheekbones, making him appear even more gloomy. Mengshi, I've finally found you. The hoarse voice carried a startlingly paranoid and vicious tone. My heart trembled, and I struggled to suppress the quiver in my voice. Sis, brother-in-law, in this new life, Zhou Yunqin finally got his wish and married Mengqingya. He and I are just ordinary brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Great. Just as I was pushing my luggage to go around, Zhou Yunqin swung his wheelchair, once again blocking the way. Mengshi, you don't need to pretend anymore. I know you've been reborn. Those 2 short sentences drained all the color from my face, nails dug deep into the palm, barely maintaining a shred of reason. Indeed, Zhou Yunqin had also been reborn. Indeed, it should have been expected long ago. Otherwise, he should not have appeared in the wedding procession back then. Zhou Yunqin, why must you do this? Meeting his deep gaze, I was utterly calm, not a single ripple in my heart. In this second life, you've finally managed to marry the Mengqingya you've always longed for. You've achieved your wish, so why do you still come to disturb my life? Let's go our separate ways, each to our own path. Isn't that better? Heaven has finally given me a chance to start over. I truly, truly am. I really don't want to have any more entanglement with them. No, that's not how it is. Mengshi, let me explain. Zhou Yunqin's expression changed abruptly, and he suddenly grabbed my hand tightly. You've misunderstood. I don't like Mengqingya at all. In my previous life, the reason I released the so-called wedding news was only to get back at her for betraying our feelings and for the humiliation she caused me by running away from the wedding. From beginning to end, the only one I've ever loved is you. Zhou Yunqin anxiously defended himself to me. He said he had actually found out long ago that Mengqingya looked down on him. He just couldn't accept that his years of deep affection had been misplaced, so he wanted to make Mengqingya lose face at the wedding and humiliate her in return. As for me, his love was a belated realization, deep and profound. Mengshi, believe me, the one I love has always been you, and only you. It's just that I was too foolish. After the Zhou family went bankrupt and I lost the use of my legs, everyone around me seemed to pity and sympathize, but behind my back, they were all mocking me for being a cripple. I didn't dare to trust anyone, and I didn't want to believe that you would treat me wholeheartedly. I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted and suspected you. I regret it. I truly regret it. Now that fate has allowed both of us to be reborn, it's giving me a chance to make amends. Mengshi, I beg you, can we start over? Zhou Yunqin's eyes were red and burning as he looked at me. The reason I was in the wedding procession that day was because I thought the person I was marrying was you. As long as you nod, a pigeon egg-sized wedding ring, $1 million wedding dress, the most romantic and grand wedding in the city, I can prepare it all. Will you agree to marry me, my dear? Watching Zhou Yunqin affectionately take out that diamond ring before me, I smiled, laughing until tears streamed down my face. for the unworthiness of my past self, and also for the despicable actions of Zhou Yunqin in this life. Zhou Yunqin, do you need me to help you recall why I was reborn? It's because you killed me with your own hands, you offended people in business, and I was the one who suffered and endured the torment. Fine, even if you didn't love me back then, I was still a living person, whipped with a lash, beaten with countless fists, tortured until there wasn't a single piece of good flesh left on my body, and in the end, my ring finger was shamefully chopped off. Can you bear these sufferings for me? You can't. Not only are you incapable, you even coldly forced me to die. Haha, this is truly laughable. A butcher who caused me endless humiliation actually has the nerve to say he loves me. Zhou Yunqin, when you say these words, don't you feel your heart ache? Oh, I forgot, you're a cold-blooded beast with no conscience. I really find it both hilarious and pitiful. What kind of feeling is it that one only realizes after death? Why should it be my death that pays for his so-called cheap, unwavering affection? I'm already dead. He was killed by him. What the hell use is there? Late affection is cheaper than grass. After laughing enough, I wiped the tears from my face and warned coldly, Zhou Yunqin, you'd better get as far away from me as possible, otherwise, I will never let you off. No one understands the precarious state of the Zhou group better than I do. Zhou Yunqin couldn't even do it. Back then, I gritted my teeth and risked my life to protect it. I could just as easily tear this lousy company apart with a flick of my hand, yet Zhou Yunqin, for some reason, was brimming with confidence. No, Mengshi, I know you can't bear to. He seemed immersed in his own emotional world, stubborn to a point that was somewhat alarming. Don't worry, once we go back, I'll hold a wedding and marry you. After correcting this mistake, we can live happily ever after. His murmuring manner frightened me immensely. Crazy, Zhou Yunqin must be crazy. I need to get out of this place quickly, but as soon as the thought surfaced in my mind, Zhou Yunqin seemed to sense it. He pushed the wheelchair and effortlessly pinned me in the corner. Mengshi, you can't escape. My people are guarding outside. For the rest of your life, just be my missus. Zhou obediently. As soon as the words were spoken, a dark figure darted out from the side and punched him hard in the face. Even in a wheelchair, you still can't keep yourself in check, and you're dragging the reputation of the disabled community through the mud. I'll beat you to death. 11. Before I could even react, Genuinely threw punch after punch, directly knocking Zhou Yunqin from his wheelchair onto the floor. So you've been bullying Mingxi behind my back. Oh, now you come crying after the damage is done, and you still have the nerve to say you like her. Pa, get the hell out of here. Mingxi is under my protection now. Don't you dare bully her again. She kept beating Zhou Yunqin until he was bruised and swollen, unable to utter a word. I finally snapped out of it and hurried forward to stop him. All right, stop hitting him. You might really kill someone. Genuinely stared at me with a crumpled expression. You're scolding me for his sake. His words were filled with grievance. I'm just afraid you'll get into unnecessary trouble. It's not worth it for a scumbag like him. I skillfully smoothed down young Master Zhang's snoring hair. Besides, you're still running a fever and have a cold. Your health is the most important thing. Genuinely turned his head away awkwardly, but his mood instantly improved quite a bit. Meanwhile, Zhou Yunqin, lying on the ground, witnessed the scene. His face instantly turned deathly pale, but I couldn't be bothered to pay any more attention, and I pulled Genuinely away with me. All the way, someone kept chattering nonstop. Luckily, I saw that you were taking too long to come, so I rushed over, otherwise you would definitely have been bullied. That bastard Zhou Yunqin thinks he's got more men. Well, I've already hired a whole team of bodyguards. His ragtag bunch of thugs is nothing to worry about. Genuinely may seem carefree, but he had long sensed the tension between me and Zhou Yunqin. He arranged for people to stake out the airport and provide protection even before we boarded the plane. That's how we managed to get away smoothly. In the end, he pursed his lips and paused his tone. Sorry, I didn't mean those words just now. Mingxi, will you blame me? I widened my eyes. Why, I should be the one to worry, right? Something as fantastical and bizarre as being reborn. It's already lucky that I wasn't treated as an anomaly, captured, and dissected for research. In your previous life, you had such a hard time, and I didn't even step in to help. I really wasn't a good friend at all. He hung his head, looking quite dejected. I shook my head. It's not your fault. Besides, in the previous life, not long after that phone call ended, he died. During the turmoil abroad, he lost his life while protecting others. Since this isn't exactly good news, it's better not to inform the person involved. Right now, Genuinely is mumbling and swearing to me that in this lifetime, he will protect me well. I couldn't help but purse my lips and laugh. He doesn't know yet. On the day of the runaway wedding, Genuinely stood directly in front of me. I secretly made a decision. I will protect him well for the rest of my life. 12. Jo Yunchin, who has been reborn, seems to be truly insane. He seems to have attributed all the sins to the Meng family, dragging the nearly bankrupt Zhou group. He desperately competed with the Meng family for business territory, relying on memories and shortcuts from his past life. The Meng family was subjected to relentless retaliation and targeting. In less than half a year, the Zhou family declared bankruptcy even earlier than expected. After returning to the country, I actually met the Meng family. They came to me in desperation when they were in a state of chaos. They wanted to use me to connect with the Jiang family's network, making a last-ditch effort, and they even had the audacity to bring up the debt of gratitude for raising me. You illegitimate child, the Meng family has raised you for so long, you should repay us, otherwise, you're unfilial and disrespectful. I smiled and responded by splashing them with a basin of scalding, boiling water. It scared them into shrieking and howling. In this lifetime, I finally have the chance to uncover the truth. My mother was indeed the other woman back then, yet it was kept hidden from me, a young college student in her early 20s, beautiful and naive, unaware of the world, blinded by the affection of the mature and steady head of the Meng family. By the time she learned the whole truth, she was already on the verge of giving birth. In her intense emotional state, she suffered a difficult labor with massive bleeding, paying with her life for this unbearable relationship. The Meng family was not as kind and friendly as they claimed to be. Meng Qingya was a premature baby, frail and sickly. Coincidentally, I was born 2 years later and share the same blood type as her. I am nothing more than a mobile blood bank raised by the Meng family for Meng Qingya. The so-called debt of gratitude for raising me, I had already repaid it in my previous life, so this lifetime, it should be their turn to atone. 13. Until half a year later, I learned the news that Zhou Group went bankrupt and Zhou Yunchin committed suicide by cutting his wrist. Many people say, Zhou Yunchin was already acting strange before he died. He kept shouting incessantly, at worst, we'll start over again. That's right. Just start over, just die once more. It's quite eerie. Even if he dies 1,000 or 10,000 times, it's useless. With me here, no demons or monsters can bother you. Upon hearing this news, I actually didn't have much of an emotional reaction. On the other hand, Genuelli found it quite unlucky and took me to a temple to pray properly. He even spent a lot of money on a ritual ceremony, saying it was to accumulate blessings and good fortune for me, one thing after another. I'm afraid that jade pendant isn't even enough to repay the favor. I thought for a moment and asked, you've been too good to me, Genuelli, how can I repay you? I saw Genuelli's eyes flicker, and his cheeks instantly flushed red. Then, I want you to like me, Mingxi, do you agree? Meeting his sincere, burning gaze, I chuckled softly. That's hard to say. Let's see how you perform first. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.